Hey guys, in today's video, we're going over how this little guy right here can be your entire guitar rig, and you can control it with this wireless Bluetooth pedal board right here. This is the Mooer Prime P2, and this seriously could be your entire guitar rig. This has 52 amps, 25 cabs, and 52 effects all in it, and it can all be customized to your own layout. You can load third-party impulse responses into this. It has a touch screen. The output can be in mono or stereo. It has a headphone jack, and you can stream Bluetooth into it so you can practice along. It can be controlled with MIDI. It has a tuner, a drum machine, a looper built into it. There's a cloud where you can download and upload presets. There's seriously so much that this little device can do, and I'm going to go over all of it in this video. I also gigged with it, and I'm going to go over my experience of using this as my guitar rig live. Many thanks to Mooer for sending this over for me to check out for the channel. This is not a paid video or anything like that. They just sent it over to me to check out for the channel. I used the P1 before, and my main guitar is actually the Mooer GTRS guitar. So I'm very familiar with their ecosystem, and I really like what they're doing. No surprise, this is also a great product as well. Also, at the end of the video, I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers. There's seriously so much to go over in this video, so that's enough of the intro. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more music gear reviews and tutorials like this in the future. Let's go ahead and check this thing out. So what's included? Very simple. Basically the devices and a charging cable and a MIDI cable. Of course, the wireless foot switch is optional, but I do recommend that you get it. Each one will come with a USB to USB-C cable for charging the devices. And you also do get this 3.5mm to 5-pin MIDI cable for connecting to the Prime 2 with MIDI. And you can see both of these devices charge via USB-C. Pretty simple. On the side here, you have a power button, the charging port, which also can connect to your computer, and the MIDI port. On the top, you have an input and output and a headphone output. Do keep in mind the output is stereo, so if you do get a TRS to dual Y cable, you can use this in stereo if you prefer, and I'll have links to that cable down below in the description. So go ahead and hold the power button here on the side. You'll see it start to blink a little bit, and the device turns on. You do see if I try to do anything, it's going to say push the button to unlock, so I do have to push the button just once in order to unlock it, and now I have control over the screen. So within each bank, I have 4 different presets, and with the touch screen, I can choose between them, A, B, C, or D. If I want to choose one of the other banks, I can either swipe or push the arrow button in order to get to one of the 20 different banks that you have. So let's say I go to bank 11D. Now I'm on 11D. If I want to go to bank 0A, now I'm on 0A. Very nice that you have control over this on the touch screen. That's a big update from the P1. So you swipe in order to get to this other menu up here. This gives you access to a few other things. So I can adjust the volume, which is great that you have access to that control in here. You can get access to the tuner, which I'll show you here in a little bit. And then you also get access to connecting to a foot switch, as well as the Bluetooth capabilities, because you can stream Bluetooth into the P2 from like your phone or something like that, and then play along to a song or a backing track. In order to connect the foot switch, what you want to do is you want to hold the first and third button on the foot switch, and it goes into pairing mode, and then push the button to connect to the foot switch, and they'll connect to each other. And now you can see once it's connected, now I can change through the different banks and presets. So right now it's on 0A, push this button, now it's on 0B, 0C, 0D. So it shows it on the foot switch as well as on the P2 itself. And again, this is all completely wireless and Bluetooth. Really, really cool. In order to scroll through the banks, you push either the A and B button together or the C and D button together. So now you can see I'm going to bank 1, bank 2, and so on and so forth. So now I'm on 2A. The way that you can tell that you're on anything above 10 is you see the little dot and see the 9 with the dot next to it. That means it's bank 19. This is bank 18, 17, and so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward, very easy to use, and definitely makes a lot of sense. So you can program all of your patches using the app. So you want to download the Prime app, and then when you load it up, you're going to want to click Portable Series, P1 or P2, see which one you want. Is it P1 or P2? This is the P2. I'm going to do search, make sure that your Bluetooth is on the Prime, and it will find it. Once it finds it, you just click it, and it will connect to the device. It might take a second, but you'll see it's showing data processing on the Prime 2 itself, and now they are connected. To enter, go ahead and click the device, start messing around with presets and programming and stuff like that. And you can see when I change patches on the foot switch, it changes it on the P2 and on the app itself. Now let's figure out how to use the app. Okay, so I'm going to show you just the general overview of how it works, and then I'll show you some of the sounds in here. So the first thing I recommend that you do is you just go through some of the presets. You can do that by clicking here. And then you can scroll through some of the different presets in here. Some of these I've messed around with and saved over it. If you want like the back and black tone, you can choose that one and kind of mess around with some of the built-in sounds that it has. I'm gonna go back to this first one because it's actually a really good one. And then you have your signal chain right here. It goes from left to right. So you have this noise gate here, which is actually off. I can push it to turn it on and push it to turn it back off. So it'll be grayed out when it's off and it will be lit up when it's on. So it's gonna go from the noise killer into an amp, into the overdrive. It has some things that are off. It has the cab off right now, and I actually want that on. Delay and reverb. You can add another effect by pushing the add button over here. So let's say I want to add a filter. Let's do an auto wah. I can do that right here. Let's add another one. Let's add another delay, reverse delay. You can do quite a few things on here. You can keep adding to your signal chain. If you do want to reorder it, you can also push and hold and then move it over. So if I want to move the EQ earlier, let's say I want to do the overdrive before the amp, I can do that. And if I want to get rid of something, say I want to get rid of this EQ block, I can swipe it up to get rid of it. To mess with any of the individual effects, let's go to the amp right here. So I can adjust the gain, the bass, mid, turn down the treble, up the presence, and down the master, and all of that stuff right here. Up the level of the tape delay, the feedback, and the time. Let's go to the reverb, add more pre-delay, turn down the level, so on and so forth. If you're used to using pedals, you know how this works. Let's say I want to change the effect. Right now it's on the hall reverb. I'm going to click there, and then it's going to bring up the different types of reverbs that I can change it to. So I can set this to the mod reverb. I can set it to the plate reverb. I believe that the shimmer reverb is grayed out because I'm out of DSP. So let me remove some of these other effects out of here. And now when I click it, now the shimmer comes back on. So you can run out of DSP if you overload it with too many things. But now let's say I want to change it to the shimmer, and let's say I'm going to turn the tone up and the decay down. You can do the same thing with your amps. Right now it's on Carol Clean. You can find what these amps are based off of out of the manual. So I'm going to click that, and let's say I want to set it to something different. Let's say a triple rectifier distortion, and then set everything else accordingly based on how you want it to sound. Same with the cab. Right now it's on this one. I'm not even sure what that is. Let's set it to the dual rectifier. And you can also set a low cut on the cab itself and a high cut as well, which is really nice for dialing in your tone. I do find that doing low cuts to about 80 to 100 and then high cuts from about 8,000 usually helps. So then once you've dialed in your tone and you're happy with it, you go up here to save, and you can choose where you want it to save. So you can save over another patch if you want. So I could save it over here, and you could give it a name of whatever you want to call it. And then hit done, and now it is saved as YouTube. And that's the general overview of how you create tones in the app. So something I want to get away right off the bat is that a lot of people thought with the original version that you had to bring the app in order to use it. No, you do not need to bring the app to a gig. The app is used for programming this. Once you're done, it saves to this device, and then you just bring this to your gig. You only need the iPad if you want to do any edits or something like that. So you do not need to use a tablet or a phone live. All of it will be saved to this device. Okay, now you know how to use the app. Now I'm going to show you just some of my favorite presets in here. These are all presets that I like the best. I did not edit any of these. The only thing I did was just adjust the level so that they were pretty even, but everything else is just as is. So we're probably not even halfway through all the things that this device can do. I'm just trying to break it up so it's not just staring at an app the entire time. So let's check out some more of the features. And if you are finding this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It truly does help the channel out. You also can go up here to your library. This will also give you some different options as well. These are based out of different styles and stuff like that. Same idea as choosing presets. And you can go over here to the mixer and you can turn things on and off. So you can actually send Bluetooth from your phone into the P2 in order to practice along to a song. So you can turn down the Bluetooth level on here. If you connect the P2 to your computer, you can record direct into any DAW. So you can see that Logic recognizes this and I can record direct into my computer, but you can adjust that level here and you can adjust the level of the instrument here as well. Swiping over, you can adjust the output level. So if you're using this in mono, you can turn output up or down. If you are using this in stereo, using a TRS to 2TS cable, you can turn up and down the left or the right. If you push this button up here, that will link the two of them together and they'll move together, or you can mix them separate. You can also click this P2 button right here. Here you can access some of the tools such as the drum machine and the tuner, as well as the looper, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But you can go to your settings here. Do you want your cab sims on or off? You can turn on a global EQ. So if you need to cut, the low end, you can do that as well. Adjusting the input gain is really valuable. If you're clipping, you can turn it down, or if it's too quiet, you can turn it up. MIDI settings I'm going to come back to because that's actually a really big upgrade. The display brightness of the screen itself. So that'll change the brightness of the screen. Auto shutdown, I set this to never. It was on 15 by default. I personally like it on never. I like being in control of being able to shut it down. And auto lock, I have it set to 5 minutes. You can also rename the Bluetooth here, which I named mine Scott P2. One of the cool things you can do though is you can go into the cloud here. You can go to the official or the user one. So go to the official one. And here's where you can start downloading different impulse responses. So these are going to be different amps here. And then these over here are different cabs that you can download. So let's say I want to download this rectifier one. I'm going to click download and then you get to choose where you want to put it. So you get 10 of each. So you can see I've already actually downloaded 9 of them. So now I'm going to put this into number 10 right here. I'm going to put done and it's going to save it. You can also go over here to user, and this is cool. These are different patches and entire arrangements that people have come up with. But let's say I want to try out this one, the star clean. I'm going to push this button right here. And once it's loaded, now I'm on preview for this. And if I decide that I want it, I can hit the download button. It'll tell you everything that it has on here. Hit download, and then you choose where you want to save it, which is really cool. So you can upload some of yours. Really cool that there's a whole cloud that you can download and upload to. So you can also hit upload. I could upload this one if I wanted to and call it whatever I want and give it a description. But that is basically the way around the app for the most part. 2 bonus things that the Footswitch can do. So if you are on an effect with like a delay or something like that, you actually have a tap tempo. So on patch 0D, which is my lead patch, and if I tap the button of the preset that I'm on, so in this case it's the D button, I can tap in the tempo and you can see that the time changes in the app. So you do get a tap tempo in here. And you can see the tempo on the pedal because it will blink to the tempo. And then one other thing, if you hold any of the buttons on the Footswitch, it'll go into tuner mode as well. And you do get to see it on the Prime P2, as well as the app if you use the app live, but I don't use the app live. I program everything and then just use the pedal. But you also do get a display on the wireless Footswitch itself, which is also really cool. For some reason, it is set to 436 by default. I didn't even notice that until I was editing, so make sure you have that set to 440. But 2 nice bonuses that you get in the Footswitch itself. So there is also the Mooer Studio software. This is used to update the device, add third-party impulse responses, and back up your device. If you are going to do an update, be sure to do a backup so that you don't lose any of your patches. You can see I have a backup right here. If I need to restore it, I would click restore. To update the device, you click device update, hit update, and it'll tell you if you need to update or not. And here's where you go to load your third-party impulse responses. So remember, you only get 10, so I'm going to delete this 6th one right here, and I'm going to load one of my own impulse responses that I've bought and paid for by myself. So you can click the plus button and then find where it's stored on your computer, click import, and now you can see that I have imported my own third-party IR into the P2. Very, very cool that you can load your own impulse responses here. Okay, so we still have to get to the drum machine and the looper. However, if you do plan to use this live, just my 2 cents, I would turn the volume down on both the drummer and the looper, because the first time I'd used this live, I accidentally triggered the drum machine by mistake. So it is just a fail-safe just to make sure that you don't accidentally trigger a drum track live. Just my 2 cents. Anyway, here's how you use the drum machine and the looper. So the drums and the looper, they actually kind of work together. So on the drums, you can choose which kind you want down here. And they have quite a few different options, and you can adjust the tempo by either pushing the arrows or tapping in the tempo if you want. And play and pause is down here, and you can also adjust the volume. But with the looper is really cool. You can turn on drum sync, and it will give you a count in, and it will sync up with the drums, which is really nice. To get to looper mode, you push B and C button together, and now you're in looper mode. Here's a quick demo with the looper. So again, I have drum sync turn on, and the first button is going to be record. So it gives me a count in. And now I'm recording. Step on it again to play, and it syncs up even if I'm not exact. It does quantize, which is great. And now I can just play over it if I wanted to, or I can overdub by pushing the first button again. And if I didn't like that, I can hold the first button and it will undo it. Hold it again to bring it back in. I can push the second button to stop it, first button to start it back up. Fourth button will turn off the drums and bring them back in. I can push these two buttons to get out of it and go to a different patch and, play over it if I wanted to. When I'm done, I can stop it by pushing that second button. If I want to erase it, hold the second button, and it is now erased. Say it was something that I liked, I can push the save button, and I can save it into 10 different banks. And if I ever want to reload them up, I can load one of the 10 banks and loading one of the 10 songs. So one of the coolest updates about this is that it has a MIDI port, so you can control this with MIDI. If you know nothing about MIDI, you should watch my beginner's guide about it, but this does make it quite easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the provided 3.5mm to 5-pin MIDI cable. I'm going to plug the 3.5mm into here in the side of the P2. I'm going to plug that into the MIDI out of the MIDI Captain. This is a great programmable MIDI foot controller that I did a review on. Definitely worth checking out. Really cool device. And I'm going to have the app loaded up here because you want to go to your settings and then MIDI settings in order to program some of this. So in order to control preset A through D, those are already assigned. You can change these, but currently they're assigned that it receives controller change. 0, it goes to preset A, 1 goes to B, 2 goes to C, and 3 goes to D. These bottom 4 buttons right here on the MIDI Captain, I have assigned that way, and you can see that it is working. You can see that it changes the presets. Again, if you don't understand MIDI programming, I do go over that in multiple videos on my channel. But even if you don't understand MIDI programming, they actually make this insanely easy. So whatever I want to control for page up, see where it says learning? Click learning. It says MIDI learning. My MIDI Captain is plugged in. I'm going to push this button. It is figured out. It doesn't even matter if you know what MIDI programming is. It is figured out, oh, whenever it receives this signal, I want to page up. So now it has assigned this button to go page up. So I'm going to hit save, and now it is saved. I'm going to do the same thing for page down. I'm going to push this button. Now that one is saved. If I made a mistake and I want to remove them, I can just hit the remove button, and now it's gone. You also can do the same thing for the tuner. So I'm going to program this third button to load the tuner. So now when I push that, it will load the tuner. So now you can see I can go bank up and bank down and load different patches and load the tuner, all with MIDI. And again, you can do MIDI commands for the drum machine as well as for the looper as well. I'm really excited about this because now I can have my iPad or my computer send MIDI commands to this device and it will go to the correct patch during the correct part in the song. If you aren't familiar with how to do that, I have a video on how to do that with the iPad using an app called Stage Tracks 3, and I also have a video showing you how to do that with a computer using Logic. Both of those videos will be available down in the description. Okay, so as far as price, as of time of shooting, the P2 by itself is $250, and the wireless foot switch that goes with it is around $50 to $60. You can find purchase links down below or using the QR codes on your screen. Using those links or those QR codes is a free way to support the channel at no extra cost to you. And the giveaway that I will be doing for one of my subscribers is one of the wireless foot controllers. Okay, but like I said, I was able to gig with this live. I always try to test out my gear live as much as I can before I do a review on the channel, and it worked incredibly well. It was really nice to play my PRS again. That's my PRS right there. That is my baby. I have the Mooer GTRS P800. I love that guitar. That is my workhorse guitar. I think all of you know what it's like to have your workhorse guitar and then your baby. My PRS I don't take out as much. So nice to play that guitar again. And it worked flawlessly all night. I didn't have any problems with it. I had it on for more than 5 hours. I just left it on during sound check, and then it was the last thing that I packed up. and it still had 9% battery life. So it can definitely survive more than 4 hours of playing live. And that's the thing that's really cool about this is you can use this with whatever guitar you want. So their Mooer GTRS system, that's the one that I use live. It's basically the same thing, but instead of this, all of this is saved into the guitar itself. So my entire rig is literally just a wireless Bluetooth pedal board. I do have a video going over that if you're interested, but that means that you have to use that specific guitar. And they do have multiple different guitars, and I'll have links to all of those down below as well. But if you want to use your specific guitar, like I wanted to use my PRS, I can now do that using this device, and this is my only rig. So for that show, I did program some of my own patches. I'm going to show you a demo of how they sounded. I did use some third-party IRs. There's one by Ownhammer that I really like that has a really nice Mesa cab. And one of the things that's cool about this is that you can load your own impulse responses into it. So here are some of the tones that I came up with for the show. So are there any potential cons about this device? I guess probably the price might be a little high for some people. I don't know though, because I mean, it's your entire rig. You get so many things with this compared to like Fractal and Kemper and Helix and Quad Cortex and stuff like that. It's definitely much more affordable. I guess the only con is that a lot of people have been asking to have, an expression pedal input on the Footswitch itself. So like an expression pedal input, and you can control stuff with an expression pedal. That's not available in this one. That's probably the only improvement that I could really see with this. But other than that, this is a really good device. I think this is targeted for three main people. Is one, people who want to gig with a very minimal setup. It really doesn't get any smaller than this. Anyone who needs to practice, this is such a good device for practice, especially with the touchscreen, the drum machine, the looper, being able to stream Bluetooth into that to practice to the songs that you want to practice to. Great for that. And then third, I also think this is great for fly rigs or a backup device, especially for a backup device because of how tiny and portable this device is. I was able to travel recently for a good number of gigs. We went to Mexico, we went to Orlando, we went to Vegas, and for all of those shows, I had the P1 with me. I hadn't had time to mess with the P2 yet, but this is the P1 and that was always with me. You can see that the P2 is just a tiny bit taller, but this is such a perfect backup rig, is that I always have it with me. And I did actually have to do that once with the P1, is that one of the musicians that I played with somehow forgot their pedal board at their house, so I had them use the P1. So it is great to have as a backup. This device is always going to be on me for all my gigs. So I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. If you made it to the end, I'm assuming you found it helpful, so do me a favor and just hit the thumbs up button. It truly does feed the YouTube algorithm. I know YouTubers are annoying when they ask for it, but it truly does help. And like I mentioned, one of my subscribers is going to win one of the Footswitches for themselves. So in order to win is one, you have to be a subscriber. So if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And then second, you just have to leave a comment down below using the magic phrase. I'm going to keep it simple this time. The magic phrase is Happy New Year. Leave a comment down below. You can say whatever you want. Just at some point, just say Happy New Year, and you will be entered to win the giveaway. I will do the drawing on this date right here. Please just remember, never respond to scammers. Sometimes scammers will show up in the YouTube comments when I do a giveaway. Just remember, I will never ask you for money, period. I will never ask you for shipping money. I will never ask you for money, period. If anyone claims to be me and they start asking you for money, that is a scammer, guaranteed. So 2 other videos of mine to check out. One, check out the video on the GTRS guitar. Like I said, that's my main guitar, and it's by Mooer as well. It's very, very similar to this. It's just all of this is built into the guitar itself. And also, if you are interested in the video on the P1, the older generation, you can check out both those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Scott Ewell Music. Once again, thank you to Mooer for sending this over for me to check out for the channel. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.